Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. One more show to talk about the 2025 Red Sox season. It's been a weird day today. It was oddly quiet here today. You know what it made me think about? Not maybe to that level, but you go back to 2003 after they got walked off by Aaron Boone of the Yankees. That next day, it was just so sad, you know? And maybe I'm overemphasizing it a little bit because, we haven't been to the postseason in a few years. So maybe I'm getting a little dramatic there, comparing it to 2003. Obviously, it doesn't get to that level, but just thinking about how down of a day it was here today, thinking, man, there's no game here tonight. There's nothing to be excited for here tonight. Where last 3 years, you're thinking, oh my goodness, can we please get to the off season already? Can we get excited for something? And here we're all hoping to maybe get excited for the division round going up against the Blue Jays, but here we are. So in a way, yes, it does not even compare to the day after 2003. But in a way, it sort of just gives me, man, that down feeling, You go back to 2008. Obviously, that was that day after. Funny enough, 2008, when they lost to the Rays in the ALCS, I took that one pretty tough. That was a rough one for me. I still remember, Celtics, Lakers, what was that, 2010, 2011, when they lost in 7 games there. I remember that one hit me pretty hard. That was a tough one. I don't think I'm still not even over that one, to be honest with you. But yeah, 2008, I had a hard time with that because I really thought that team, they were good enough to make that run that year. 2009, that was a weird season, because it was a good team, but I don't know what it was. They just fell flat. 2011, obviously, you had a whole month of just misery. And then the day after that one was pretty rough. But again, that 2003 one, it was sad. It was cold, Just kind of feels like that. But the difference is you got high hopes, right? You're looking towards the future. You're feeling pretty good about this competitive window that you're going into. And you're feeling good about the next few years and hopefully the next several years. Hopefully, sorry to, be talking about the Yankees here. But you look at the Yankees, they've been making the postseason a lot. Obviously, you want to win the championship, but that's a team that's been getting to the postseason a lot. And that's what the Dodgers as well, right? Every year it seems the Dodgers are in it. I'm looking for the Red Sox to be in it every single year. I'm looking for them to be in contention every single year, whether that's winning the division or getting in as a wild card, right? And hopefully this is the start of it. And hopefully more here over the next few years. So I'm excited. It's this weird sense of sadness, a downer of a day, not looking forward to something, or not being able to look forward to something. But at the same time, you have hope and you have excitement, right? Because there were a lot of good things this year. There were great things this year, even. I think that's what made it even tougher, because there were not just good, but great things. And we're going to talk about that here in tonight's show. I'm not going to go, crazy long here tonight. I'm going to kind of just run through the great things about this year, the good, the bad, the ugly as well. I got 4 different categories. Usually it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going great, good, bad, and ugly here tonight. We'll do some voicemails at the end of the show as well. If you got a thought, feel free to call the number on the screen. We are live, and I'll get to a few of those by the end of the show. But I know you all got your Friday night. I know you all, and if you're watching the replay of this, I know you got your weekend to look forward to. So I'll try to keep this pretty short and tidy. How we doing in the chat, everybody? Welcome in. George, Corbin, Rath, Sean, how we doing? Moose, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Funny how, the chat over the last few nights, it was popping. We had over like 300 people after game 1. Both game 2 and 3, we had over 200 people in the chat. We were popping, and you could definitely tell the difference here. A lot of people have checked out from the Red Sox here. But let's get to it. Let's start with the great. Let's start with the great. And there's no other way to start. You got to talk about Garrett Crochet. The guy was absolutely phenomenal this year. I would say he's the MVP of the team, in my complete and honest opinion. 32 starts, a career high, 205 and a third innings pitched, ERA at 2.59, FIP at 2.89. Excellent strikeout to walk ratio this year, 11 strikeouts per nine, 2 walks per nine. The guy was absolute nails in his only postseason start. We were hoping to get a little bit more, but it is what it is. What a performance he had against the Yankees in Game 1. An amazing year from Garrett Crochet, one of the top pitchers in all of Major League Baseball this year. He is going to get Cy Young votes. I'm not sure if I'm willing to go as far as he'll beat out Tarek Skubal. In the American League, he finished second in Fangraph wins above replacement. Skubal had both the better ERA, the better FIP, a slightly lower walk rate. Garrett Crochet was A+++, but Tarek Skubal was A+++, and one more plus. That's just the way the cookie crumbled. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see Garrett Crochet right back there in that conversation for next year. I'm going to put Alex Bregman in this category. I know a lot of you might be thinking, Robbie, what in the world? Alex Bregman, he got hurt this year. He wasn't as good when he came back. He lost a lot of the pop. But to me, yes, I understand Bregman. He ended up missing, about 5 weeks or so. Didn't perform as well in the second half. You definitely wanted more out of him. But I'm looking at the entire package that he brought to the table. I'm looking at the intangibles that he brought. I'm looking at the leadership that he brought. And a lot of people were dissecting his post-game scrum with the media after Game 3 last night, saying it was an honor to wear a Red Sox jersey. Listen, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, this is a business, and we can sit here and we can talk about our love for the game and everything like that, but this is a business at the end of the day. That's leverage. Bregman is a businessman. The guy owns his own salsa company. He did a collaboration with Sam Adams. I mean, the guy is, he knows how to do business, right? And even though, the emotions are high, you wanted to advance, you wanted to go far with this team, he knows how to talk as well. When he says it was an honor, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's done." I fully believe until it actually happens that he is going to be with the Red Sox long term. I think they're going to figure it out. Listen, of course, anything could always happen. Another team can come into the mix. Hey, you know what? The Red Sox, they're willing to keep you around for this, but we'll go further. We'd like you to come here. We'll give you more. We'll give you more money, more years. And yeah, of course, it could happen. I just feel like in the end, the Red Sox, they're going to value everything that he brings to the table. And again, I do consider him in the great category for 2025 because of everything he brought to the table, right? Overall, this year he hit 273. I mean, he was still excellent when it came to the on-base percentage. Had a 360 on base, 462 on the slugging, a 125 WRC+. He had a 3.5 F-WAR over 114 games. That's still really good. Give him hopefully a full season next year if he is back with the Red Sox. Full season of health. I'm looking for a guy that should be anywhere from around a 4.5 to a 5-win player. I'm going to look at Trevor Story. Trevor Story. Let's talk about him next. I got to put him in the great category. It's funny with Story because he did finish with very solid numbers. I'm very intrigued. How do I say this? Because I've been so high on Trevor Story this year. Let's talk about the good or the great. He was the glue of the team. Glue of the team this year. He kept things together when things were down. He stepped up opportune times, 25 home runs, over 30 stolen bases, the 8th shortstop all time to have a 25-30 season. Fantastic season from Trevor Story. However, I do wonder what the front office... obviously, yes, he brings that leadership to the table as well. He was a 3-win player this year on Fangraphs. That's very good. That's very good. I'm just curious to see what happens with him this coming off season. Is he going to opt out? Is he going to look for a longer-term deal? I think that's possible. I think it's also very possible he could take it. It's going to be a hard decision, I think, either way. He did say yesterday he signed with Boston to be here for the long term. I could easily just seeing him opting back in, personally. But I also wonder, too, because, with Marcelo Meyer, I don't know. Like, a part of me wonders if the Red Sox would look into maybe trade possibilities. I wonder about that. Not that I'm not that I would want that. I love Trevor Story. I love what he did. And honestly, I hope he's with the Red Sox next year because I need to get that interview with that man. You know why? Because people tell me all the time I look like Trevor Story. I need to get that interview with him because I got to ask him what he thinks about that. So I need him with the Red Sox next year. But from a front office point of view, yes, he brought a lot to the table this year. He was the glue. But I wonder with Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, two guys they value very highly, what are they going to do there if he opts back in? I'm curious. Very curious. But again, Trevor Story, I do consider him great. This might be a bit of a stretch here. But you know what? I'm going to put Roman Anthony into that mix. And maybe that's not a stretch for some people. For me, it's not. But I could see some people saying, oh, in the great category? Well, 71 games. Not a whole lot of a sample size. But what he brought to the table in that 71 games was phenomenal. This lineup was completely different with him at the top. Remember, he was more in the middle of the lineup at first, and they said, all right, him and that on-base percentage, he's got to set the table. We got to put him at the top. And the man he completely changed the game. 71 games, just over 300 plate appearances, hit 292, a 396 on base. We just said Bregman's on base at 360 was excellent. Well, this is phenomenal. This is one of the best on-base percentages in all of baseball this year. 463 slugging to go along with it, a 140 WRC plus. Over a full season, he would have been, if he kept up that pace, he would have been a 5-win player, over a 5-win player at 21 years old. He was that good. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in the great category, even though it was a small sample size. Unfortunately, he went down with the injury. That was tough. You saw what happened to this lineup in the postseason. They couldn't really get anything done. They ran into Cam Schlittler. He's been the talk of the town here for all over Red Sox social media over the last 24 hours. A lot of people talking about him. The fact that, he grew up in Boston. I've been seeing all the clips of him pitching against Boston. Where did he go? Was he at Northwestern or whatever it was, or Boston College? I can't remember where he went. But he had pitched against the Red Sox a few years ago, or whatever it was. And then, I even saw something how the Red Sox, they passed on him in the draft, was the 7th round, and then the Yankees took him at the very next pick. So, and of course, he's been on social media. He's been having fun with the whole thing. Yeah. It's been quite the thing here. But I don't know where I just lost my complete train of thought. Oh, right, because he dominated the Red Sox last night, right? You saw the offense get completely exposed. You need someone like Roman at the top of the lineup. I think he was great this year, even though it wasn't too much of a sample size. Last but not least, I'm going to go to the bullpen. I think the bullpen was great. The bullpen ranked 2nd overall in Fangraph wins above replacement this year, only behind the Padres. The Padres in that dominant bullpen. I mean, what a year from Aroldis Chapman, Garrett Whitlock. I think you could argue they were the best 1-2 punch in baseball this year. I mean, of course, you had the likes of Mason Miller, Robert Suarez. When they're right, you could say David Bednar and Devin Williams. When they're on top of their game, that's a lethal 1-2 punch as well. But Chapman and Whitlock all year this year. Whitlock, I think, had like a couple of bumps. That was really it. But most of the year, they were absolutely fantastic. Slayton, he did miss time. He ended up finding his form in the second half of September. Greg Weisser had his ups and downs this year. Wilson was solid for the most part, despite a couple of bumps. Everything, Zach Kelly, he looked good after coming back from the minors. Steven Matz was a very solid pickup at the deadline. This bullpen was very good this year. They did a great job. You had some injuries along the way, but they were solid and one of the best in baseball this year. And you just saw it, right? Yesterday, yeah, it was a bummer of a loss. You lost 4-0, or was it 4? Yeah, 4-0. But the bullpen, after that meltdown, the bullpen didn't give up one run. So you saw the bullpen in action last night doing their thing. But for me, as of right now, with what I have in front of me right now, unless I'm missing something, those were the parts of the Red Sox this year I thought were great. Moving on to the good. I'll go with Brian Bayo, Lucas Giolito. Brian Bayo. Let's talk about him. He took a step forward this year. Very happy with Brian Bayo this year. Obviously, he didn't have it against the Yankees there. But Brian Bayo, I felt, even though the numbers weren't spectacular this year, I mean, the ERA was solid at a 3.35, but I'm more so looking at more of the metrics. And I do think in the end, those metrics, they do eventually show themselves, and they did in a postseason game against the Yankees, right? He wasn't able to go deep. If you want to go deep into the games today, you have to have a good strikeout rate. You just do. And that's why his FIP was over a 4 this year at a 4.19. He had under 7 strikeouts per 9. The walk rate was okay at a 3.2 per 9. He limited the home runs this year. He did well with that, under a home run per 9. But he was a guy that relied more on the defense this year. He was okay with trying not to get as much swing and miss. And I think this is something he can really build upon. If he can kind of keep this mentality of what he was doing, but also try to start getting in a bit more swing and miss, a bit more whiffs, I think you could see a very good year from Brian Bayo next year. Unfortunately, he just didn't have it for the postseason, right? And I think he was probably gassed a little bit. I don't know, something. I know he's gotten close to 30 starts in 2023, 2024. I don't know. So he did just seem out of gas in the last few starts. I don't know if maybe not necessarily out of gas, but he just lost the feel. The stuff didn't seem like it was really helping him out all that much. The changeup wasn't looking as good. The breaking stuff was inconsistent. The command was inconsistent. So I'm wondering what it was with him. But overall, I do think he had a good year. And Lucas Giolito, I mean, what a year for him overall, coming back from the elbow surgery that he had, and the stability that he provided for this rotation, I think was just so valuable and something I think that should be appreciated more. Now, with Giolito Bayo, when it came to the overall numbers with ERA and FIP, they were actually pretty similar. ERA was at a 3.41, FIP was at a 4.17. The thing with Giolito, he had a few more strikeouts than Bayo. The walk rate was right around 3.5. He was giving up a few more home runs than Giolito, but for the most part, when it came to just results, they were both right around a 2 Fangraph wins above replacement. Bayo was at a 1.9. Giolito was at a 2.0. So they were very good, in my opinion. And I'm going to get to the bad in a little bit, but because it kind of ties in with the bad. But for what they provided for the rotation this year, good. I'm going to get to the outfield minus Roman Anthony. Jaron Duran, Seti, Wilyer Abreu. I think they were good this year. Duran definitely had his ups and downs. Seti, yes, he was amazing defensively. He had big moments. I think the bat was inconsistent. Wilyer, he definitely brought some power from the left side. He got off to that red-hot start. Remember Wilyer Abreu in the month of April? holy cow, Wilyer Bray was going off. And then he came back down to earth, right? And ended up getting hurt. And he just didn't have it when he came back. And that's understandable, right? It's a lot to ask when he missed that time that he did. Had the calf injury. That's always tough to come back from. He just couldn't get it going after that. But overall, I think you could say Seti was great. I think that argument is there. He was close to a 4-win player this year. What holds me back from putting him in the great category is because of the inconsistent bat. The defense was some of the best in all of Major League. I'll say his defense was great. The defense. So if I were to add one more to the great category, his glove. For sure. I probably should have said that. Offensively, I'll say good, right? Because he did show he had some very clutch moments this year. Came up big in many opportunities. He clinched the playoff spot for the Red Sox. Overall, though, hit 249, on base at a 295. The slugging was over 400. First time in his career. On base was the highest of his career, but you still want more. You'd still like more there. 16 home runs, had 20 stolen bases. Again, excellent defensively. But the overall player, I'd actually, how do I say this? I think you could say overall, maybe he's between good and great. He's kind of in that little, that middle part right there. Great glove? I'll say good with the bat. More so on the clutch side of things, right? Duran, he was just very up and down. Overall this year, I feel like. He got red hot there after he got moved down into the order when Roman Anthony took over the leadoff spot. He went into the middle, and all of a sudden something happened with Duran. Middle of the order Duran, very good. Leadoff Duran, not so much. Overall, hit 256, on base at a 332, slugging at a 442. Not bad numbers by any means. A 111 WRC plus, that's okay. He was right around a 4-win player on Fangraphs. He had 16 homers, 24 stolen bases. Defensively, though, he had his issues this year. He was so good defensively last year. I'm not sure what happened this year. I mean, we just saw it in the postseason. And no, I'm not basing it just off of, what happened there in games 2 and 3. He was very inconsistent defensively this year. Go back to Milwaukee. I keep remembering that play in Milwaukee, ball off his glove, and just so many mishaps out there. And you just saw him a lot, and consistently too. So I'd say with Duran, you see the electricity that he brings. He is a dynamic player. But there's going to be some dips along the way. The highs are high, but the lows, they get pretty low. At the most the worst moments too, right? Like high leverage kind of spots, and he would you'd just figure out a way to come up short with something, George White also, that's a good point there, and that was another thing too. His splits. I see you in the chat. George, what was his split with the batting? Lefties, he struggled. Yeah, he only hit 211 against lefties this year. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see. Hit 211 against lefties. Hit 277 against the righties. When it came to... he only had a 61 WRC plus against lefties. 133 against righties. And I think you could even look at Wilyer as well. Taking a look at Wilyer. Overall, Wilyer hit 247, a 317 on base, 469 slugging, very good. A 110 WRC plus, 22 homers. But looking at the splits, not as drastic as Duran. Hit 250 against righties, 230 against lefties. But when it came to the run production, an 85 WRC plus against lefties, 115 against righties. So, again, overall of these guys, there were definitely a lot of good things, but there were some hiccups as well. But overall, if I wrap it all up, put a bow on top, I'll say they were good overall as a group. Moving on here. And really quick, we are actually about to be out of time on Nesson. If you are watching with us on Nesson, I am going to have to wrap it up here in the next couple of minutes. But I'll also point out the young arms with the Red Sox. Nice to see the Red Sox finally getting some young pitching coming up the pipe. Peyton Tolley, how electric was that debut? Connolly Early, he had a couple of electric moments this year. How about his debut? He was fantastic. With Tolley, after that debut against the Pirates, he came back down to earth. Early, though, he was looking really good. I mean, and he looked great last night as well against the Yankees. You know, unfortunately, the defense didn't help him out. He got a raw deal. Kyle Harrison, he showed some good things this year with the Red Sox, right? You know, inconsistent, but you saw some potential with him moving forward to be a part of the staff. But overall, I'd say it's good that we got some young pitching coming up the pipe. We haven't had a whole lot of that as of late. But everybody, on Nesson, I am going to wrap it up right there. If you want to see the rest of the show, come on over to YouTube, Monster Territory, and see what else we got to say. Nesson viewers, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. So, let's wrap up the rest of the good, and then we're going to get to the bad and the ugly. I know you all love the drama. I know you all do. We're going to get to the bad and the ugly. I know you're excited for that one. Let's take a look. I'll talk about Romy and Refsnyder, the lefty killers. Good years for these guys. I mean, I think you could even say you could put them in the great category against the lefty pitchers, right? I mean, they were excellent. Romy was one of the best hitters this year against left-handed pitching. I believe he was top 5 with his OPS. So I think you could say that's great, right? And then Refsnyder, 484 slugging overall this year. You know, another thing about Romy, too, he had a 383 slugging this year. With Romy, you saw that he even had success against righties this year. So it wasn't just against the lefties. Let's take a look at the splits with Romy. Against lefties, he hit 331. He hit 286 against righties. Now, when it came into the run production, a 162 WRC plus, a 978 OPS against lefties. Righties, 718 OPS, 95 WRC plus, but not bad. Refsnyder, against righties, I mean, Refsnyder was more of that prototypical platoon. Only hit 212 against righties, but 302 against lefties. But for what they did overall, yes, against lefties, I'll say great. But overall, the whole package, I'll say good. Carlos Narvaez had a good year. Good rookie season for Carlos Narvaez. Showed a lot of good things. He was very good defensively. I know he had a lot of catcher's interference this year. But he, according to the numbers of this year, one of the better defenders behind the plate. He was very good. You know, that we can actually pull up here. We'll pull up the StatCast. And I think Narvaez not only was very good this year, but I think he was very underrated. I mean, looking at the defensive numbers here, he was in the 88th percentile when it came to his blocks, 98th percentile throwing out runners. He had 9 caught stealing runs above average. That's excellent. 98th percentile. Framing had 5 runs saved, 85th percentile. He ranked in the top 20% with his pop time. I think you could say his defense, that's another thing. Defense, excellent. Great. With the bat, he had his moments. He definitely had some good things this year. He showed some pop. Had 15 home runs, had a 419 slugging, 97 WRC plus. Not amazing, but right around league average. The whole package with the Narvaez, I'll say good. And he did a great job with the pitching staff. Very underrated, I think. I'll put him in the good category. Speaking of defense, I can't not shout this out. Marcelo Meyer's defense. I got to talk about it. With Marcelo Meyer out in the field, mostly playing third base this year when Bregman went down, played some second base, couple of games at short. There was something different. We haven't seen a defender like this. Man, unless I'm whiffing on someone like defensively at shortstop, Bogarts was good, but he wasn't one of the best defenders. He was good with the routine play, but his range was a bit limited, right? He definitely had some good plays along the way, but overall, he wasn't, one of the top defenders in the game. I'm not saying he was a bad defender, but one of the best defenders? No. Marcelo Meyer, again, I'm probably whiffing on a guy here completely. But the last time I remember a guy who just was so impressive, so fun, more so fun to watch defensively, was Jose Iglesias, right? Back when they had him in 2013, right? Before they moved him, Jake Peavy, in that trade. That was the last guy that I can remember, again, unless I'm just completely whiffing on a guy, that I just had fun watching in the field, in the infield. Probably missing someone. But Marcelo Meyer was great. He was so good to watch. He was so smooth out there. No play seemed difficult for him. No matter how hard the play looked, he just made it look easy. And I'm excited to see what he can do when it comes to wherever he ends up playing next year. He's going to be on the major league team. He's going to be contributing. Is he going to be at short? What happens with Story? Is he going to be at second? I mean, listen, I do think Bregman is going to be back long term, but you have to prepare for the fact that maybe he doesn't come back. Do you end up seeing someone like Meyer playing third? If that ends up happening, is he your third baseman? Let's say Bregman ends up going elsewhere, and then Story opts back in. I mean, we'll talk about Story when it comes to the defense here in a second, because I think that is something to talk about. But that's something it could happen. We'll see what happens in the offseason, right? But Meyer, he was great at third base this year. And he showed pop. Not a great batting average, 228, 272 on base, 402 on the slugging, though. Pretty decent slugging. He had 4 homers, had some extra base hits along the way. I'm excited for what Meyer can do. The defense was great. And last but not least, for the good category, I'm going to say Alex Cora. I think Alex Cora was a good manager this year. Sure, he made some questionable calls, and I guarantee someone's going to be in the comments, and they're going to say, oh, Alex Cora, he was terrible. What are you talking about, Robbie? Yeah, of course, not every manager is going to be perfect, but when it came to what he did, with all the platoon matchups, the injuries that happened along the way, I felt like in the end, he pushed more buttons good than bad. And hey, he kept this team together. It was a fun team this year. And I think he did a good job. Would I put him in the great category? I mean, who knows? Maybe if there was a better team, if they had when they had more talent on the team that was healthy, they were looking great. So I think Cora is a good manager. I do. I'm still seeing people here. I told you all, after last night's game, you're going to be seeing people saying Cora needs to get fired. I don't think that's going to happen. That's not happening. So I think he was a good manager this year. I think he made a lot of good calls. The bullpen, he was a little iffy with. I'll definitely say that. I think there were definitely some questionable calls. Let me go back to game 2. I think Chapman should have been in that game. Garrett Whitlock was clearly fading, and he was going up against 2 lefties in a row. He walked Jazz. Fine, if you want to have him go up against Jazz, all right, because he was looking good up to that point, but he walked him. I'm bringing in Chapman to go up against Austin Wells. That's kind of what I'm doing there. I'm not taking any chances, right? And I know Chapman had that roller coaster the night before, but I'm going lefty-lefty. Cora, good. Let's get to the bad and the ugly. Before we do, though, we do have a word from tonight's sponsor. We're going to keep the lights on. I'll be right back. October baseball is here, and the pressure's on, the lights are brighter, and with DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there in the middle of every moonshot moment. Live in-game betting and odds that can change as fast as a ball is flying over the fence. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So go ahead and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Alrighty, on to the bad. The injuries. The injuries this year were bad. I think you could even say they're ugly. A lot of injuries this year, right? Especially with the pitching staff. I mean, you never even saw Cutter Crawford this year. Richard Fitz looked good out of the gate, but he ended up having problems. Hunter Dobbins, unfortunately, had the knee injury. Tanner Houck ended up getting elbow surgery. Very tough with the pitching staff. And again, that's where I'll credit Cora, because he had a lot of guys go down, and that's not on him. You know, he had to really work his way. And I also shout out to the bullpen this year, you know, for the job they did, you know, with all the injuries they had. Very good. But the injuries were bad. It was rough. Roman, obviously. Marcelo Meyer. Yeah. Bregman. I mean, honestly, I think you could, now that I'm thinking about it, I think you could actually put the injuries in the ugly category. Because you had some bad losses. So I might actually pivot there. I might actually say that's ugly. I had it in bad at first, but now that I'm thinking about it, that was tough. That was tough this year. Christian Campbell. I hate saying this one. Because, man, I really, really think he's got a bright future. I really do. I hate doing this one because I think it's more so because he got off to the great start. He looked great, but he just wasn't able to figure it out after that. Pitchers adjusted to him. They saw the way he was going oppo a lot. He wasn't able to pull the ball. Pitchers are good in Major League Baseball these days. When they find a weakness, they're going to attack it. And he wasn't able to make the adjustment. I'm not going to say he's a bad player. I think he can be a very good player. The guy's athletic. He's got incredible bat speed. The guy looks just phenomenal when he's right. But the lack of adjustments that he was unable to make, I think that was bad. You know, and he went back down to the minors, and when you looked at the metrics in the minors this year, you could see he was still working on some things. He was pulling the ball a little bit more, but I think he's going to need an offseason to get into the lab, really work on it more. I expect Campbell to bounce back for next year, but it was just bad. Oh, also, Sam Storm. My goodness. I left out Tristan Casas from the injuries. Okay, we're definitely going ugly for the injuries. Holy cow. How did I forget about Tristan Casas? How did I forget that one? That was obviously rough, too. That was rough. So many injuries. Injuries into the ugly category. Another bad for the Red Sox. Runners in scoring position. I wouldn't say it was ugly, but it wasn't good. I'd say it was bad. They were 18th in batting average with runners in scoring position this year. 16th in OPS. 18th in WRC+. It's not horrible, but it's not good. You know, it's below average. They had problems this year all year. When Roman was in the leadoff spot, yes, they definitely got better. They did. But, listen, you got to make the adjustments. You have to. Yeah, I know losing a player like that's tough, but you got to step up. The other guys got to figure it out, you know? And they just weren't able to do it. It is what it is. And Bregman, the injury that he had, that was bad timing as well. Of course, the injuries, right? Costas, we never even got a chance to see if Costas could have gotten himself turned around. And that was a bopper that you lost. So that's something they're going to have to figure out. I think they're going to attack that this coming off season. I think they're going to go after it when it comes to getting a bopper. I'm very curious to see what they do when it comes to that first base DH spot. I'm curious about Massa. Oh my goodness, I left out another injury. There were so many injuries, and I'm going. Massa was hurt for for how long? Holy cow! I'm missing all these guys. We had so many injuries this year. Ugly. But I'm curious to see what they do. Are they going to try and move Massa's contract? If they can't, will they DFA him? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. Or do they keep him? And they just kind of keep him in that same role, like a lefty bat. That's where I wonder, could someone like Pete Alonso come into play? Where if you get a right-handed hitter in Pete Alonso, and then you got a left-handed one, Yoshida, who could stay at DH, right? And then if Casas comes back, then you figure it out then. Again, the Casas injury, that's rough. Right? That was a brutal injury. That's been one of the worst injuries in sports. Hopefully he can come back. So I just kind of wonder how they attack that. I think that's interesting because you can't trade Casas. Like, let's just get that out of the way, the obvious out of the way. I mean, you're not moving him, obviously. So he's coming back at some point. So what do you do with Massa? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, because if I'm going with a guy, if you're not going to have Massa and you're going to go after a bopper for a left-handed hitter, I mean, Schwarber all day. To me, you can't have Schwarber and Massa on the same team. I mean, that's just kind of like, I don't see the point. I don't know. So that's where Alonso, to me, I think could make a bit more sense because he gives you that flexibility where he can play first and then DH is still open. And then when Casas comes back, if he comes back, again, like that, it's such a big if. Like, I don't know how that's going to go. That's a tough injury. How's that, does he just work back in? That's where, again, Alonso, you have that flexibility part. And Alonso at Fenway Park, I mean, that could be incredible. With the power that he brings, with the monster, he's always hit well at Fenway Park. I don't know. I don't think he's going back to the Mets. I do not think he's going back to the Mets. The way they just melted down, I don't think he's going back. So, I think he's possible. Let's move on to the ugly. I already said one ugly. I know I've said it a few times. The injuries. Infield defense was ugly this year. That has been a problem over the last couple of years. And I feel like this year, how do I say this? It wasn't as bad that we've seen in recent years, but it still was the infield defense was still some of the worst in Major League Baseball this year. They were 27th in outs above average with their infield. Second base, they had -6 outs above average. First base, -6 outs above average. They were 25th. Low definitely helped that, but overall for the year, not great defense. And here's another one. Trevor Story, even though he made the routine, most of what I felt like the routine plays, there were a lot of times where something got by him. He had -9 outs above average according to StatCast. So that's something to think about. I don't know. And I see you in the chat, B. Snide is Low a free agent. Corbin, he has one more year of arbitration. That's another thing as well. Do they keep Low? I don't know. Not sure. I'm not sure what they're going to do there. I felt like he was pretty productive for the most part. Obviously, he had that bad moment last night, but I felt like he did fine for the Red Sox. So that's going to be another factor that works in too. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's another thing you could think about as well. If you do bring in Alonso, well, then you could have Lowe, Pete Alonso. You got a lefty-righty right there, right? One guy can DH, whatever. I don't know. You know how Cora likes the matchups, right? So maybe that could be a possibility. Nate Lowe, yes, he still has one more year, but I wonder what the Red Sox do. But Trevor Story, do we have to, if he ends up coming back, is this a conversation that needs to be had? Is he going to stay at short? Does he move to second? Marcelo Meyer at short? Again, you got to see what happens to Bregman. But Story's defense this year, the arm, we saw the arm in September. Something was going on there. I don't know what happened, but a lot of his throws were off that led to runs scoring. So, I don't know. That might be a conversation. That might be a tough conversation. Story comes across to me as a guy, if they were to go with a better defender at short, at least this is my opinion. He would be a guy where if they said, hey, Trevor, we feel like we can be a better team with you at second base, I feel like he wouldn't hesitate. He doesn't come off as a guy that, I'm sure deep down he would be bummed out about not playing short, but he comes off in such a big way as a team player. And if they asked him to move to second, I don't think he would hesitate. Will that conversation happen, though, if he comes back? I don't know. Not sure. Something to think about, though. Again, -9 outs above average. Infield defense has to be better. They got to find a solution at second base, and maybe Story is that answer. Second base has been just a black hole for the Red Sox, man. They just can't seem to figure it out. So maybe that ends up being the answer. Walker Buehler. Oh, I'm really disappointed with this one for two reasons. One, because I've been a fan of Walker Buehler ever since he came up. And two, he was my first interview. My first ever interview for a major league player. Walker Buehler was that guy. So I hate putting that here, but it was a huge letdown, a huge disappointment. And you were hoping he was going to get back to what he was before. You were hoping he was going to find some of that magic before, and he could have been that number 2. You were hoping he was going to be that guy in the postseason for you, whether that was game 2 or game 3. And now he's with the Phillies. Probably going to pitch here in this series coming up with the Dodgers. That should be a fun one. But Walker Buehler, that turned into an ugly signing. Jordan Hicks. Man, oh man. I think he got banished to the Shadow Realm. I don't know where he is. Where is Jordan Hicks? I don't know where he pitched in, I think, a few too many games, and all of a sudden you just never saw that guy again. Jordan Hicks was rough for the Red Sox. He was rough. Goodness gracious. I mean, we got to pull up the numbers. Oh, man. Ugh, this is going to be ugly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to do this to you here on a Friday evening. 21 games with the Red Sox, an 8.20 ERA, FIP at a 6.19. He had a negative 0.4 FWAR. Those are brutal numbers. Brutal. Oh, yeah, Caden in the chat, Liam Hendricks. That's another one you put in the injury category. Liam Hendricks, I think he also got banished to the Shadow Realm. What happened to him? I don't know. He did get the award. I'm going blank on the name of the award. Where he's just where it's just for what he does off the field. Wow, what's the award called again? Darn it. I am so blank on what that is called. The Yes, the Roberto Clemente Award. Thank you, Caden. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I just blanked on that one. Holy cow. Liam Hendricks. Great person, but man, oh man, he was unable to pitch this year. And you were hoping he was going to be something. You know, you're thinking, all right, cool. Maybe let's tap into some of that old magic with Hendricks, right? Gets fired up in the ninth inning. Couldn't find it. But yes, he was another one of the many injuries. But Jordan Hicks, here's the thing with Jordan Hicks. I actually think he can still be a guy that can have a big role for the Red Sox down the road. I know that might sound crazy, but give him an offseason. Give him some homework to do, right? Hey, we're going to go work on this, and this. He's got to work on the command. He's got to do something with the mechanics. He's got to figure something out. He's obviously had a good track record. So I say fresh off season, fresh start next year. And that could be a guy that could go right into your bullpen and maybe get back to doing what he was doing just a couple of years ago, right? Last but not least, I hate to do this one. I hate to end on this note. I think the Rafi saga was ugly. The Rafi saga as a whole was ugly. It's tough, man. You know, listen, Craig Breslow, he said he thinks the team was going to end up winning more games without Rafi. I'm paraphrasing that, but that's basically what he said. And that ended up being true. It was true, but it was still very disappointing the way things ended up, how it ended up happening. You would have loved for Rafi to be your first baseman. You would have loved for him to be a part of this team, to be a part of another playoff run, for him and Alex Bregman to be on the same team with Roman Anthony. Rafi with the Red Sox would be awesome. In the end, though, the Red Sox did not handle it well. I think, I don't know what happened this past offseason. I don't know. I don't know. You had David Ortiz coming out and saying that he had tried contacting him. You know, this was during the season, but he wasn't answering the phone. He wasn't returning his texts. I don't know what happened with the communication. I think, to me, the Red Sox, where they messed up, and I'm going to also provide a counter argument for this. I also hate that I'm talking about this, but we are recapping the year, right? I think going into the offseason, I think that should have been something that you talked about. Hey, Rafi, obviously you're an incredible bat, but hey, we are letting you know that we're going to go out there this offseason and we need to try and improve the defense at third base. We understand you're very passionate about third, but we still think you're an incredible player, an incredible bat, and you are going to be right there in the middle of the order for us. You know? I think the way they just handled it going into the offseason, I don't think they handled it very well. However, there's also the side where at the end of the day, the Red Sox are writing your check. And hey, I get it. It's fair to be frustrated, but when the team needs you to do something, you have to do it. You got to do it, not just to do it, but it's for the team. The 26 guys in that clubhouse, right? The 25 other guys. That was going to open up flexibility, especially when Casas went down. You were going to be able to put Roman into this lineup. You were going to have Massa into the lineup. Casas went down. That was it. And I get it. Rafi, you know, he didn't feel comfortable moving into that spot mid-season. And I get it. There's a lot of arguments to not do it. But there was a lot of arguments as well where he should have just done it, you know? And it's tough. In the end, it was just a marriage that didn't work out. sometimes that's just the way it is in life. You can make arguments for both sides, but really, what it is sometimes, some things are just not meant to work out. And that's what happened here, I think. I think the Red Sox did things poorly. I think Rafi made some poor decisions. I think things could have been done better and communication could have been better. It is what it is. But the whole process was ugly. It was dramatic. It was shocking when it happened. I couldn't believe it. That blew my mind. It's funny because I in my head, where I love to come up with mock trades and I love to fantasize about all these different trade possibilities and ideas. And yeah, I'm thinking, man, what could a Rafi trade look like? But I just didn't think it would happen. It was more something I thought was MLB The Show. And then it actually happened, and I couldn't believe it. Still, to this day, it kind of stuns me that, especially with the contract that he had, you never see that in the middle of the season. But the whole saga was just ugly. John Henry going to Kansas City, weren't able to get on the same page. The whole process was just not good. And it is what it is. But in the end, the Red Sox were a better team without Rafi. I mean, yeah, of course, he would have liked his bat in the postseason, the way the lineup just went cold turkey. Yeah, of course. But they were a better team. And I'm not saying that's because Rafi was a bad player. They just had the flexibility to be able to get these other great players into the lineup. You had Roman. And no, it wasn't just because the pitching stepped up. I see people say that too. No, they had a top 10 offense when Roman was into the lineup every day. So no, it wasn't just the pitching. Offense was very good. There was the whole team. The whole team was great, right? And again, that's not because Rafi went to San Francisco, because you had other options. So you would have, could you imagine if Rafi was still there? You had Roman, Rafi, Bregman. Holy cow. What a lineup. I'm like, man. In the end, it is what it is. And I see you in the chat, Jennifer. No drama this offseason in spring training. And that is something that's going to be nice this offseason. That's going to be nice. Because last offseason, we're like, all right, we need to have a big offseason. And everything was just under the microscope. Every move, every rumor, everything was right there. And it was an exciting offseason. It ended up being a very good one. Craig Breslow did a great job. John Henry, he signed off on spending some money. And then in spring training, unfortunately, that's just how things have been, right? Even though you had a great offseason, all of a sudden you had this whole thing with the third base, with Rafi and Bregman. It's like you just couldn't catch a break. So that is going to be nice about 2026, is that, yes, we need another big offseason, but at least you can go into 2026 feeling good about the progress that was made here in 2025. And then next spring, you can just focus on the baseball. Hopefully nothing else happens. I don't see what else could happen at this point, but that's going to be nice to just have a nice spring training, and you can just focus on the baseball. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. But everybody, we'll start wrapping it up. Brent in the chat, despite all the positioning from the Bregman camp, I think it's a high possibility he opts in. That's another thing as well. Now, I have been on the record multiple times saying, hey, let's get this guy a new contract. I think they'll eventually come to terms. But I wonder if he actually ends up just opting back in. It's $40 million, If he did not get the quad injury and he had that slow second half, I'd say there's no way and he's going to opt out. He could still look for that long-term security. At the end of the day, long-term, hundreds of millions of dollars, that's nice to have, right? 40 million, yeah, that's a lot for 1 year. But because of how the second half went for him, I think you could still see him opt in. We'll see. I hope they just come to terms on a new contract. So, we'll see. But everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. I didn't see, I just refreshed the voicemails. I'm not seeing anything. I don't know what happened. I thought I saw one earlier, but it's not there. But anyway, we'll be back. We'll probably going to take the weekend off. Monday, there is the press conference. The end of season press conference. Alex Cora, I think, Sam Kennedy, he'll be there. The whole crew. They'll all be there. I'll definitely be live Monday to react to that. We'll give my thoughts, and we'll have some fun with it. I'm sure there's going to be some nice juicy little tidbits that we're going to be able to break into. I did see a couple of text messages. Did see a couple of texts. Let's get to a couple of these. What do we got here? What's up, Robbie? I have a few questions for you. First, if Boston makes a trade for Joe Ryan, do you think that the main part of the package will involve Duran or Abreu? I think Duran could be a possibility. Depends on what the preference for the Twins is. They could use more speed. Also, if Boston allows Bregman to walk, do you think Marcelo Myers... Oh, yeah, funny. I just mentioned that earlier. If Bregman does end up going elsewhere, then I think you got to look at Meyer being the third baseman. Do you think they get a big bat to DH? I think Schwarber, Alonso... I think either of them could make a lot of sense. I think Alonso, because of that versatility at first base. Again, you got to see what happens with Lowe. We'll see. But I think either of those guys would make sense. We got another text here. Yoshida's got to go. Do you think they could get anything in return if they pay all or most of the $18 million owed? Also, I can't describe how much I appreciate your recaps and all of your main channel's content. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, my friend. Appreciate that. We got another video coming out either tomorrow or Sunday on the main channel. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, that's what I wonder if they find a way to move on from Massa. He's got 2 more years left on there. Let's pull up the remainder of the contract. So yeah, he's owed a little over $37 million left. You go back to Chris Sale. He had 2 more. I think, did Sale have 2 more years on his contract? He had 1 more year left on the contract, and then there was a club option. So we'll see. Massa, that is still a bit of money. But, the way his bat looked in the month of September, and he's healthy, maybe a team looks at him, and says, hey, let's bring him in, We'll see. I think Massa is going to be a guy that's on the rumor mill. Moving on. Thank you for that. Hey, Robbie, my name is Brody, and I just wanted to say that your coverage on the Sox is awesome. I love your channel and your passion for the game. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hopefully we have a fun offseason. Here we go. Hey, I have a question for the live stream. If Bregman leaves after we traded Rafi, because the whole Rafi drama situation stemmed from the Bregman signing, and if he leaves, would that be the worst thing that the front office has done since Mookie? I feel like the Rafi thing is not really gonna come into play when it comes to Bregman. Obviously, there was drama. Listen, they wanted Bregman. That was a guy that was at the top of their list. You do have to remember with the front office, they were split on Bregman when it came to the metrics, when it came to the health, right? Obviously, the health showed up. So I just wonder how they're going to approach that. I think Bregman, though, he just has the intangibles that he brings to the table. I think that's too difficult to ignore. I think he just brings a lot more value to the organization as a whole. Yes, the player himself, I mean, yeah, you saw the injuries, down second half. He's such a leader for the team, though. So, one more. Hey, Robbie, my name is Jacoby. Just wanted to say your content on the Sox is absolutely amazing. Thank you. Just a couple of questions. Do you think they move on from Duran? I think there's a high likelihood. I think so. Do you think they will actually re-sign Bregman if he walks because they have the young guys and who knows with Breslow? It's interesting. Again, I would like to think Bregman is going to stay. I would be surprised. I'd be very surprised. Again, I just think he's such a good face of the franchise. I think he wants to stay too. I think he would like to stick around. He had a great year. He said it was an honor to put on the jersey. He had a lot of good things to say. He's a businessman, so he said, it was an honor. Right? Kind of put a little bit of a twist on that. I think he stays. I hope he stays. But hey, it's baseball. It's a business. You never know how things are going to go. But everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I'm out of here. Let's go enjoy the weekend. Let's go get our minds off of things. We got football this weekend. We got the Patriots. Hopefully they win. That'd be nice for the Patriots to win. Who are they playing? I don't know anything about the footballs. I'm out of here, everybody. If you're kind of the way out, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll probably be back on Monday. If anything does happen over the weekend, I don't know what would happen, but I'll be here. If not, we'll probably see you Monday. Have a good weekend.